Now, we gotta hold the mic for this one, boys. I have come to a truth. Now, is it the truth or is it my truth? I do not know. All I know is that once something inside of me clicked, it either turned me completely off somewhere inside and killed me, or it healed me. And I cannot sit here and tell you that it was not both, because both things happened at once. A piece of me did die once I kind of settled on it, and another part of me was reborn. And I move emotionally a little bit more easier. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't struggle with what I'm about to talk about, because I do. And sometimes I think that the only way I'll ever feel good is through flamboyancy. A lot of people struggle with self-validation, as we have here on the board, internal validation. And as I said in the previous video, the only way to actually feel validated in anything you do is to seek that from within. Because, like I said, people can tell you you're shit, but you shouldn't believe it. But people can also tell you that you're the greatest, and still you should not believe it. Because your sense of self-worth truly only matters when it comes from within. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that struggle with a low self-esteem. And it's really hard to break out of that. And when you struggle with a lack of self-worth, we look for external validation rather than internal validation. So we seek out praise and compliments from others. We want to know that we're hot and we're sexy and we're smart and we're brilliant and we're talented and we're incredible. But like I said, what the fuck does it matter if somebody else tells you that? And then we want people more than anything in this entire world to care about us as people. We want them to care more than anything. Because it feels good to know that people care about you. And it makes life worth living. It gives you a sense of purpose. If I can't live for myself, then I can at least live for this person. And that never worked on me, because I didn't give a fuck. And then it dawned on me, well, I expect all these people in my life to give a shit about me. But how much do I give a shit about them? And I don't want to sound like an asshole when I say this. I only mean this in the sense, like, who do I think about more? Them or me? And when I'm thinking about them, what is it about them that I am thinking about? For a long time, I was so angry at the world because I felt like I was not being nourished. Nourishing Roots card. I didn't feel like I was being nourished. I didn't feel like I was being supported. I didn't feel like people actually cared enough to say, I think you're doing a really good job and you've made incredible moves in your life. And in turn, this caused me to self-destruct. Particularly with, this is the self-destruct card. With anything. Sex, drugs, alcohol. Anything to make me feel good, right? I also had this bad habit of, if I feel like people don't care about me, then I don't give a shit about myself either. And I would isolate. If you saw my previous video, it was a lot about how I was agoraphobic, and this is kind of where it all started. I was putting a lot of work into myself, and I wasn't really being looked at in a sense like, oh, Fiend's putting the work in for herself. Instead, I had the unfortunate experience of hearing how in aunt's boyfriend used me as an example of who not to become at the ripe age of 18 years old. And that really fucking destroyed any self-worth that I had at the time. Years go down the road, and I'm still struggling with this. And I'm struggling with these thoughts of, like, I want them to care, but how much do I care? And then it dawned on me, like, nobody cares about you more than you care about you. The reason you so desperately seek validation through others is because you see something in yourself that needs to be validated, that needs to be praised, that needs to be looked at and admired, but nobody in your fucking life is doing it because guess what? They're so focused on how to find that validation from the people in their own lives. And the truth that I learned is not to say that nobody cares, but in this modern, individualistic, Western society, nobody cares about anybody more than they care about themselves. And I'm not saying that you should follow the fucking wave and ride it out with them, but that with understanding this truth, should you start looking within and find the things about yourself that you know should be validated because they're great or because they're shit, and sort your fucking feelings out. This is what I had learned. And once I stopped giving a shit about what other people thought that I was doing well at, or what I thought, or what they thought that I was doing poor at, I realized I was able to move with more fluid motion through these liminal spaces. And like I said, a piece of me both died. Systematos. But it was also revived. Because now I do shit like this. And I don't care what people think or say or any of that. And I don't even think they would say anything. Nobody has this far on. And that's the truth. Like, people are just doing them. So don't worry about what the fuck they think about you. They're worried about themselves right now. And that's not a bad thing. I think if we can all focus more on ourselves in a reflective manner, then we can do something wonderful. We can create something sacred. Whether it's a space for people to listen, or it's a space for people to be heard or to speak. But the only way to do that is to look at the wounds that are hurting you. We have bleeding together here, my trauma bond card, that have attached themselves to your core self. And only then, my friend, once you figure all that out, are you one step closer to total fucking freedom and eliminating self-destructive patterns and nourishing roots of internal validation. Man, I'm good. So moving forward with the read. It's not easy to digest. And I said it as easily as I could. Because the other night when I was having this conversation with myself, thinking about how can I tell this guy that the only way he's ever going to feel good about himself is once he realizes that other people really don't give the same amounts of shit that you give about yourself. Then they give a shit about themselves and that you give a shit about yourself. And it's not a terrible thing. It hurts. But you also have to realize people are living their own fucking lives and they're not gonna sit around and dick ride you all day. Like, you don't want people to sit there and dick ride you all day. Like, I struggle a lot with validation, right? There are parts of me that super want to be validated. Like, Going into looks, I'm always thinking about, like, what do I really look like? Like, I know, like, in the mirror when I look at myself, I'm like, I don't look that bad. I actually look kind of cute. And then, like, when you ask your girlfriends, they're like, oh, you look so bad. You're a bad bitch. You're so pretty. You're fucking gorgeous. You're beautiful. And then, like, I'm afraid, like, if I ask, like, my male friends, they'll be like, you alright. I mean, you're not the cutest thing, though. And it's like, that shit tears me up inside, right? But it doesn't matter if they think that I am super beautiful or they think that I am super ugly. Like, I feel good about myself. And that is the part that I neglect, because there's a part of me that wants to believe what other people think, because somehow that's more the truth. Because a collective believes it. Well, there was a collective of individuals in society that once thought cigarettes were good for you. So what the fuck does that say about what other people think? That is my piece there. Alright, and I'm glad we refreshed the video. It was like fucking hour long in that last one. Excuse me for a moment here. I think I could pause the video, actually. I don't have to stop it.